Let's take a moment now and talk money and politics. Oregon lawmakers learned this morning that they will have tons more money to spend than expected during this current short session. And by more, I mean $558 million more. Now, that money is a combination of $76 million more than expected in corporate income taxes, plus $482 million that were set aside for the last two-year budget cycle, but not spent by the agencies. So that money then gets scooped up and moved into the current two-year budget cycle. That's likely good news for lawmakers who want to spend lots on housing and mental health and several other programs. The update came in the form of the March revenue forecast. Don't email. I know it's not March. I have no idea why they call it that, but they do. Anyway, here's Oregon's economist Mark McMullen on the left and economist Josh Lehner on the right, briefing lawmakers this morning in Salem. They have lots of charts that help explain what's happening. Basically, Oregon and the nation appear to be making a soft landing as we come down from high inflation. And Oregon's economy is really relatively stable. I thought this graph was interesting. It shows that the state is, well, pretty much out of workers, that pretty much everyone who wants a job has one. I'll let Josh explain.
The chart on the left is kind of looking at that like demographically adjusted, age adjusted employment rate. So relative to, what share of the population that historically you would think would have a job or at least be in the labor force looking for a job, what share of them actually do have a job? So it's not the unemployment rate, it's the employment rate. And you can see we're basically near an all-time high. The only time in our recorded history where we see a slightly higher percentage of Oregonians with a job was back at the height of the tech boom in the late 1990s. And so again, we're in a cyclically strong labor market. The number one reason why local businesses are having a hard time hiring workers or finding workers is because nearly everybody has a job already.
How about that? That other chart there on the right, by the way, shows the big number of baby boomers that are retiring. The economists say those two factors, most everybody working and baby boomers retiring, well, those two will continue to make it harder for companies to find workers in Oregon. They also pointed out that there are more deaths than births in Oregon each year. Did you know that? Kind of interesting. So without people moving in here, we're kind of in trouble. They also lowered their expectations for that in-migration, as it's called, from 0.7% per year to 0.6% per year. It's not a big change, but I did some quick back-of-the-napkin math, and if there's 4 million people in Oregon, it means there's roughly 24,000 people a year that are moving into Oregon now instead of 28,000 a year. But that does kind of make a difference over a long time. Another interesting point, most of the so-called vice revenue streams are expected to be lower than they thought last year at the close of the legislative session. That was last June. This is a slide from the presentation. It shows lottery will be up by about 16 million from the last estimate in June, but everything else down. I highlighted the changes there on the right so it's easy to follow. Economists now think that tobacco sales will be down about $56 million, which will mean $2 million less for mental health programs. Liquor sales will be down, way down, about $132 million less than expected just last June. That's going to mean more than $400,000 less for the mental health programs. And marijuana sales are expected to be down about $6 million, meaning roughly $6 million less for drug treatment programs. The economists said that there's still a lot of marijuana being sold, but the prices are low, and so it's going to bring in less tax to the state. Finally, the economists point out that Oregon currently has about $2.2 billion socked away in its rainy day fund, and that by the end of the current two-year budget cycle that runs until July of 2025, Oregon's going to have roughly $2.9 billion saved.